listening to the Introverted Black Girl.
Follow me at IBG Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at the IBG Podcast. So there's like a bunch of controversy surrounding Joe Rogan's podcast because it's said that he's spreading misinformation. Now, I have never listened to this man, and I don't really know if he's spreading misinformation at all. So the misinformation that they're saying that he's spreading is in relation to the vaccine. And if you don't know who Joe Rogan is, because for a long time I didn't know who this man was, but if you're in the podcasting space, you know who he is. He's like the most popular podcast on Spotify. And speaking of popular podcasts, let me just plug this in for a moment. Help your favorite introverted black girl become a famous podcaster too. I'm going to need y'all to comment on my Apple podcast, please. Comment in the comment section. Tell them how much you love it here. I appreciate it. Tell them to follow me on Patreon. I have content up there now. There's content there. I have content for people that want to start a podcast. I'm telling you all the things that I've done. I also have some content on there outside of that. So like, please join the podcast school, IBG podcast school, whatever, on my Patreon. And let's get it. Let's go. So patreon.com/introverted black girl. And also I do consultations. So like, let me know if you want that. Of course, there's a little fee, but I work with you. So let me know. Anyway, patreon.com/introverted black girl. And if you don't know who Joe Rogan is, because for a long time I didn't know who this man was, but if you're in the podcasting space, you know who he is. He's like the most popular podcast on Spotify. He has like 11 million followers or something like that. Got like $100 million deal. He's that bitch, Giovanna from Clark. Y'all ever watched Real Housewives of Atlanta when Giovanna was on the season and she said that? She was like, I'm that bitch, Giovanna from Clark. Well, Joe Rogan is that bitch from Giovanna. Well, he's that bitch, Giovanna from Clark. Anyway, he has a very popular podcast and people are upset with him. So recently, some other person that you probably don't know, because I don't really know who he is, some guy named Neil Young, took his music off of Spotify, and apparently it caused Spotify's revenue to drop $2 billion. So I don't know what type of Illuminati this man is a part of, but he was able to basically make Spotify lose billions of dollars. And it was all because he said, if Spotify keeps Joe Rogan on their platform spreading misinformation, please take my music off, basically. So Spotify was like, I bet. They started to take his music off their stuff. And now they lost $2 billion. And now a lot of people are saying, oh my God, Joe Rogan, how could you be spreading misinformation? Blah, blah, blah. And it's our right to like boycott Spotify to take him down or whatever. And here's my thing with this. If a lot of people are agreeing that this man is spreading misinformation, then I think that we can also agree that he's an ignorant person to a specific situation, the vaccine. And like I said, I don't know what he said, but let's say it's true that he is spreading misinformation. I don't know what's facts, what's not. I didn't listen to this man. But let's just say we go with the fact that he's spreading misinformation. We can agree that he's ignorant. Okay, he's another ignorant person on the internet. The difference is that he has this large following. And yes, we would want niggas to be more responsible with their platform, but to make somebody lose their living because of their ignorance, that's kind of like something that I find to be a little strange. Joe Rogan has never positioned himself as a leader in the medical field, somebody that has like a medical background. He's not an expert. He's not a doctor. The man don't even clean ass in a hospital as a CNA. So I'm trying to understand why people are even holding anything that he says to a high standard where they're actually going to bring down a whole business like Spotify, or even completely damage his business because he's ignorant. Basically, what we're saying is that he's stupid. He's dumb. But then at what point does the listener take the responsibility to choose to listen to people that are experts in the field that they're inquiring about? Vaccines and any information surrounding vaccines is a part of the medical field. So wouldn't it make more sense to seek out information from medical experts? YouTube, every day I go on YouTube, they have like a whole section on the front page specifically about COVID-19. And a lot of those videos are led by doctors, scientists, they're all giving their opinion, and they're backing it up with facts, and they're experts. My thing is, like, when this man who's not a part of the medical field give an unpopular opinion that people are saying is misinformation, well, it's his podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't listen to his podcast anymore. Don't listen to his podcast anymore. Or at least try to not listen to his podcast for his opinion, because if it's not fact, then it's opinion. His opinion on something that he's not an expert in. But to say that you're going to take your music off a platform that also has other people on it who are spreading the right information, like to do that, to cause a business to lose $2 billion because of one person, is ridiculous to me. Because I can show you a whole bunch of black podcasters right now who are actually doctors. You can check out the Black and Brown Podcast Collective to find them. I believe right now they have something on there where you can actually listen to Black and Brown podcasters. And there are podcasters who are actually doctors giving information about certain things in the medical field. I want to see this. I want to see that man boycott platforms like Spotify, who aren't pushing, tell me you're going to take your stuff away because they're not pushing medical experts to the forefront. I think that's a better reason to remove your stuff, to remove your things. I need you to have a better reason than to say, I'm going to leave this thing because one person is giving the wrong information, when there's so many other people who are giving the right information that the company is not promoting like that. I believe at some point the listener needs to take responsibility to choose who they listen to. It's not up to the world to make this place, I guess, something that only gives you what is right and what's wrong, because that's when things can get real messed up and it could turn into a communist type country. It's the fact that people have the freedom to say dumb shit that makes it possible for you to say the right stuff. Because when we start to try to figure out what's right and what's wrong, there's too many different ideas. There's too many different people who have a different idea of what's right and what's wrong, what's fact and what's fiction. You can literally tell somebody facts today and they'll still tell you it's wrong tomorrow. There's just people like that, like my father. He can look at the sky, right? And we'll tell him, Daddy, there's a plane up there. There's a plane that's flying. No, there's not no plane up there. That's not a plane. That's like a UFO or something. Literally says American Airlines, and it looks like it's a plane. Literally it's a plane. And he'll be like, no, it's not. Now, what if my father was the person to decide what's right and what's wrong? I'm just saying things can get real messed up real quick. Because people can really wholeheartedly believe that they know what's right and what's wrong. That's the reason why I'm saying we need to still keep the choice to listen to and have options for who we decide we want to listen to. And I just believe that you can't hold, if I had a business where I had a whole bunch of people on there, I don't think that it's my fault if one of these people are stupid. Just don't listen to them no more. Don't listen to people who aren't experts in the field that you're interested about. So like, don't go to Joe Rogan for medical advice. And I don't think that we should have to tell adults that. Like, we live in a society of people who act like they just don't have a brain. Like, you don't have the option to just not press play. Don't press play. Listen to him for what resonates and then leave with what doesn't. Like, that's simple. All this other stuff is ridiculous. Like, I don't listen to Joe Rogan, but I'm not gonna not listen to people on Spotify because, like, I'm not gonna stop my bread and like my money because this guy wants to be an ignorant person. Like, you took your stuff off a platform that's bringing in revenue. And I can understand taking a political stance, but I think that also shows the world that the listener doesn't have the responsibility to make a choice. Like, you take your stuff off of there, now you're gonna make Spotify start to be like, this is the problem with YouTube. YouTube is like this now because of people like that guy Neil that took his music off and caused the company to lose $2 billion. Now, when people are putting up their content on YouTube, everything gets flagged. You can't do nothing on YouTube without getting flagged. And that's something that content creators have had a problem with. And that's why your favorite content creators aren't creating like how they used to. That's why things look all like bland. People just don't have that vibe that they used to have because they're heavily censored. You get heavily censored because of people like Neil. And then content just like doesn't have that same, I don't know how you say it. It's just not the same anymore because people are afraid of losing money. So now when he takes this off of Spotify, now Spotify is probably going to look at different ways to start censoring people a little bit more. And then for some reason, black people always get squeezed with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, a bunch of black YouTubers all the time complaining about their content being flagged and what they say, copyright striked. And they be like, but then I see other people doing even worse stuff, but their content don't get striked. But it's like, it's just a systemic problem that always ends up affecting black people. And that might be a conspiracy. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I bet money that when Spotify starts to censor us more, censor people more, because I just put my podcast on Spotify, by the way, then watch, black people are going to start getting censored because it's like, oh, you want to stop him from saying that? Okay, now I'm going to stop all y'all people from doing a bunch of other stuff too. Oh, you want to put black in your title? Oh, we're going to take that out because now that's racist. Why is it necessary for you to say black in your podcast? Why is it necessary for you to have black in your title? Oh, are you trying to say that other races can't listen to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know how far this thing could go. And it's all because somebody that's not a medical expert said something that isn't true. Makes no sense. Anyway, what do you think about it? Do you think that this is the best way to handle the situation? Or do you believe that people should have a brain to not listen to who they don't want to listen to? Do you think that the only way to like get people to stop talking junk is to pull your stuff off people's platforms? Do you feel like you're trying to control what people say? I don't know. What do you think? I'm over here like putting stuff in your head. I'm planting seeds so you can say what I want you to say. Anyway, let me know what you think. All right. You know what? I want to make one more point because I was alluding to it. I didn't really hit the point. What if Spotify went out of business because that guy took his stuff off their things? Now, what about all the content creators that are actually given the right information? And I'm going to keep talking about the black doctors because there's not a lot of black doctors who are popular in podcasting, but they exist. They take time out of their busy schedule as doctors to podcast. Now, what if Spotify went out of business because of this guy? $2 billion in revenue lost is a lot of money. And if that's the trend if that's going to be the trend, it's possible that Spotify could go out of business if other people like Neil start to remove their things and follow suit. Next thing you know, Spotify ceases to exist. Now, what about all the other content creators that give the right information? What if they now don't have Spotify as a platform? It's like, isn't it kind of selfish to do that? It's like you understand the power of influence because you believe that Joe Rogan has influence, right? That's why you're removing your stuff. So you want to influence people to take their stuff off of Spotify. And now that can damage the livelihood of people who are doing the right thing or doing what you want them to do. Like, how does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Isn't there a better way to handle this?
You are listening to the Introverted Black Girl.